been stopped. So welcome again to another week of daily wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. So we will pick up a shloka which will allow us to go really deep into some of the philosophy. And what we are going to discuss now, if you will, I'm sure you're going to love it, because what we are going to talk about is something that gives a lot of hope to devotees. So let's get started by invoking the blessings of God and Guru. I'm going to share my screen and then we will get started. So let me share my screen. Okay, you're able to see it?
Yes.
All right, let me get started by invoking the blessings of God and Guru. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo, Ishwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Radhe Radhe, a very warm welcome to all of you. So let's get started. Today we are going to talk about Shloka 4.11. I'm going to recite it and then you are welcome to follow along. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tastatthaiva bhajamyaham mam vartamanuvartante manushya partha sarvashah.
Samji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Ye yadha mam prapadyante tam sthadhaiva bhajamyaham mama vatmanu vartante manushya partha sarvashah. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you. Okay, we can pick up the remaining hands.
SSPG, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
SSPG.
Radhe Nitinji. Ye yada mam prapadyante tanstataiva bhajamyaham mama vartmanu vartante manushya partha sarvashah.
Very nice, thank you.
Manishji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Nitinji, Sanjay ji and everyone. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tanstatthevya bhajamyaham mama vartmanu vartante manushya partha sarvasah.
Nice, thank you.
Radhe Radhe.
Okay. Radhe Radhe. All right, we can pick up another 4 hands.
Shyamji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tastatthaiv bhujamyaham mama vartmanu vartante manushya partha sarvashah. Radhe Radhe.
Wonderful, very nice, thank you. Radhe Radhe. Thank you.
Radhe Radhe, Sairamji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tanstatthaiva bhajamyaham mama vartmanu vartante manushya partha sarvashah.
Wonderful, very nice, Sairamji. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Riyaji, please go ahead.
Riyaji.
Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Yata mam prapadyante tanstataiva bhajamyaham mama vartmanu vartante manushya partha sarvashah.
Very nice, Riyaji. I think one of these days we'll get to see you as well. be prepared. Last Thursday of the month, we are going to take a picture. So please be prepared for that, all of you. You can be ready for that, okay? We should do that periodically. All right, last but not the least, Sandhya, go ahead.
Look at the big smile on Shamji's face when you made this announcement.
Very nice, Shyamji. Look forward to that. I think we should do that more often. Yes.
ये यथा मां प्रपद्यन्ते तांस्तथैव भजाम्यहम् मम वर्तमानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्याः पार्थ सर्वशः.
Very nice. All right. So let's get started. This shloka, Lord Krishna is saying, in whatever way people surrender unto me, I reciprocate accordingly. Everyone follows my path, knowingly or unknowingly, or son of Pritha. So we will split it into two. So today we are going to tackle maybe today, tomorrow, I don't know, 2 or 3 sessions. In whatever way people surrender unto me, I reciprocate. And then there's another aspect to it, which we are going to take up as a second part to this shloka. This shloka, like we often do, can take multiple sessions. So let's get on to this exciting journey. There's a lot of depth in this shloka. So we are going to talk about it. So before we get started, like we often do, questions from participants. So the one question that I got, I generally pick up the questions that participants ask. And this is the question I got: how to process to overcome laziness and strengthen willpower. Okay, Manvitha has asked this question. So if you are there, I'll briefly touch upon that. But what I will do is I'll share this on the chat for everybody's benefit. Go ahead and look at this video. There's a lot of discussion that has taken place in previous sessions. We'll still bring it to one of the sessions, but for now you can go and check it out, this particular video. You can subscribe to the channel as well, because I keep on uploading videos here. This is a very important concept, because laziness or procrastination is one of the biggest challenges we have to deal with in this path of spirituality. So the challenge there is that we have to break that habit, procrastination. Let's say you had 500 years to live. Still, you have to break it one day. And it could be 450th year or 475th year. If you have 1,000 years to live, you still have to wake up one day and decide, from today, I will make it a priority and not delay it anymore. If you don't break it, we repeat with the same mind. That habit is still there. So we have to break it in next lifetime. If you don't break it, we repeat again. We have to break it in some other lifetime. So sooner or later, we have to convince our intellect that today is, our exam. Tomorrow could be our exam. When we have an exam, we get that intensity. We automatically are able to bring in the required urgency that is needed, as we have often seen when we have a compelling or something very important to deal with. Exams, right? School exams, board exams, college exams, all of a sudden that intensity comes. And as a spiritualist, it's said that life is a preparation, death is an examination. And we spoke about, we don't know when we could lose out this opportunity of a human birth. So with all that knowledge, we bring in that urgency and create that internal motivation. Some people wait for external motivation, some kind of enforcement they need to pep themselves up. And some people create internal motivation just by virtue of empowering themselves with the right kind of a knowledge. So we need to move more towards an internal motivation model than waiting for things to happen to us. Okay, so Bhagavad Gita is the thing that is where the knowledge comes in. When we subscribe to the right knowledge and when we contemplate upon it, then automatically we start prioritizing things that matter to us, and procrastination starts diminishing over time. So that is the hope. By the way, today I saw that there's a 20-year-old guy. I think his name is Carlos Alcaraz. He beat Novak Djokovic, who's a legend. And that match was like, I didn't see the match. I mean, it was a 5-hour match, but just by looking at the scoreline, I could make out how competitive it was. Right. So this guy said, he was asked what was one key learning for you from the match. I was just looking at, what he had to say. He's a 20-year-old, very young guy. And he beat this guy, 36-year-old, and how he beat him, unimaginable. He could have lost in straight sets. He said, today I realized that I could do things which I never thought I was capable of doing. And when he was pushed to the corner in the second set, he was like blown away in the first set. And second set, somehow he recovered. And then he started playing at a level which even he did not know he was capable of. So it is in HR, in human resource. It is called Johari window. I don't know how many of you are aware of this concept. Johari window says that there are 4 windows to our personality, things that we know about ourselves, which people don't know. Second window is that people know, we don't know. Third thing is that people also know, you also know. And fourth is which even people don't know, you also don't know. So that fourth window, tapping into that happens in adversity, when you are pushed to the corner. And for some, that situation is needed to discover that. But when we subscribe to spiritual knowledge like Bhagavad Gita, you can start tapping into that window much sooner rather than waiting for that opportunity. So the moment I heard that, I said, all right, this is what we are trying to do now. We are capable of immense potential, things that we can't even imagine we are capable of. And this knowledge can empower us to tap into that much quicker than we think we can. All right. So with that said, let's move on. We're going to talk about this verse today. Now here, Lord Krishna states that he reciprocates with everyone as they surrender to him. Very, very important concept. Okay. He reciprocates as they surrender to him. Surrender would be a topic in itself, but we'll talk about an aspect of it. Okay. So the way you think, feel about God, he basically reciprocates that way. So what does it mean? Let's move on. What does reciprocity mean to you? Right? It is like in relationships in this world, we are trying to strike a balance. And if that balance starts shifting, the relationship starts shifting as well, right? It starts running into rough weather. So it's a game of credit and debits between every relationship. And when the conflicts start happening, that means you have exhausted on your credits, and it's about time to make some more credits. You have withdrawn more than you had deposited. That's when the friction starts coming in. So it's about striking that balance. This is the whole key, right? And it is based on reciprocation only. It's based on reciprocation, and that when that balance starts shifting, problems start happening in every relationship, right? Now, in this world, we are always second guessing. You shower your love and affection on someone you love, or whom you care for, or whom you like, whatever you may want to call it. When we do that, a few dynamics are at play here, right? What are those dynamics? Do they shower the same love to the same extent and the quantity? That's the first dynamic at play. Okay. Well, people have this complaint, I love you so much, I care for you so much, I like you so much, but you don't seem to do the same. Right? That is one thing. So it could be, see, the balance, the way this world is sustained is because none of us is Antaryami. If all of us were Antaryami, the swords will be out, okay, in every relationship. So it's a good thing. God has not given us that ability. But with Sujbuj wisdom and behavioral competence, to whatever extent we are endowed with and to whatever extent we acquire it, we are able to maintain that balance. So first problem that happens in this world is when you like, love, adore, or care for somebody, you're not sure, does that person care for you the same way or not? Or even if they care or they love you, do they love you as much as you do? You always have a complaint, I love you so much, but you don't seem to reciprocate. Okay, your love is less than what my love for you is. So that is the first problem that happens. Second is in the same emotion. Do you love the same way? Like there are so many friend things that break prematurely. They say, I only like you, I don't love you, or I just considered you my friend and stuff like that. In the same emotion or not? So these days at the, what do you call this, social engineering, or not social engineering, but social networking age, people want to reflect the emotions as well. I send you heart, you only say this, or you only say this, or I send you more, I like your post more and you like my post less, or I like all of your posts, you don't like all of my posts. So these kind of things happen as well. Right? People pick up offense on that as well, and a lot of relationships they break over the social network only by unfollowing. That itself is good enough. Or following somebody whom you don't like, and then you'll start unfollowing that person. So in the same emotion, that is another challenge that we face, right? Do you reflect or echo the same emotion that I feel for you, or do you reciprocate in some way, right? Those kind of relationships can have a friction as well. Now the exposure, the surface area of exposure is so much, it's not even dealing in person. You have to be very careful on the social, WhatsApp, everywhere, wherever you have a presence, you have to echo the same sentiment with different people to the same extent in the same emotion. Otherwise things can, a bit that can happen. And in the world, we're always second guessing around it, right? And the third thing is, at the same time, are you reciprocating at the same time or not? Now you may say I reciprocated 3 years back, but you are still expecting it to happen every day. But you say no, it has to happen at the same time. You cannot say that when I feel like being reciprocated and you do it after 2 days or after a year, that is also not acceptable, right? So timing matters, emotion matters, and the quantity matters, right? All these things do matter in this world. And in our relationship, we are always second guessing. We are not sure. However, because we have to put up with the people, and then we say, all right, that is fine. We continue to do the balancing act, either tell ourselves or make peace with it or things like that. And that tussle is always going on because there's no way to explain that, or there's no way to know what is going on in other person's head, right? It could be same, it could be different, it could be more, it could be less. Nobody knows that. And everybody is second guessing, and that can be a cause of a lot of friction and dissatisfaction. And there's a lot of second guessing that is going on around that, right? Now let's take this is the real world, right? Reciprocity. We want to strike a balance, and whenever there's a shift in balance, there's a bit of a tug of war that starts, or a bit of a discomfort that may start creeping into that relationship. So to the same extent, quantity, in the same emotion, at the same time, all these three timing matters. When you echo the sentiment, emotion matters. Okay, if you are doing it with a particular emotion, you want that emotion to be echoed. And the quantity matters as well. You love somebody this much and somebody reflects this much, of course, that is also not acceptable, right? So this is what happens in the real world. So God says, let me simplify it for you. Okay. Now let's move on to the divine realm. Now, what does God say? Krishna says, when you feel love for God, when you feel love for me, okay, I cannot deal with all this stuff, because anyway, he is Antaryami, right? He is more closer to us than anybody else. And he's privy to our innermost thoughts more than we know ourselves. He says, when you feel love for me, when you feel love for God, what happens? I am obliged to love you to the same extent and quantity, exactly the same extent and quantity, right? In the world, we are never sure about it. God says, I'm simplifying. I'm going to simplify it for you. I'm going to love you to the same extent. Secondly, in the same emotion, okay? And at that very moment, he doesn't postpone it or prepone it. He doesn't believe in keeping udhar, okay? To the same extent, the same moment, at the same time. And this is something which he's obliged to do. Obliged means he doesn't have a choice but to. So that balance that we are looking for is automatically provided for. See how difficult it is in the world, right? You are not sure if you love the same person, whether the person loves you or he doesn't even love you, he doesn't even care for you. You're not sure about it. That is the first problem in the world. Or you may be loving that person and caring for that person. Other person is disinterested in you. He doesn't care for you at all, right? That for all you know, that person might be exploiting you. That is a possibility in this world. And at the same time, and sometimes people say, all right, I was not in a good mood. You have, showered your affection and care for me, but then I was not in a good mood, or I could not reciprocate at the moment. I will do it at per my convenience, maybe after a day, 2 days, maybe at your birthday or something like that. So the timing may not match, the emotion may not match, and the quantum or the quantity may not match in this world, and you would always be second guessing about that, right? And then you may feel, you have more credits than debits in this particular relationship, and then friction may set in. So God has said, let me simplify for this whole thing for you. If you love me, I'm obliged. Okay, that is the key thing here. When God is obliged means he doesn't have a choice. Okay, so he has to reciprocate that emotion to the same extent, quantity, in the same emotion, and at that very moment. This is how it goes. So moving on, what is LOL? In chat we do LOL, right? Laugh out loud. I don't know what does it mean. Okay, the first time when somebody said LOL, I was like, in Bihar, LOL means somebody who's dumb. I said, what kind of a compliment it is? But LOL you can remember for good reasons now. Okay, it is law of love. Okay, this is law of love of God. Now, what is this law of love? This law, God's love for us. Okay, if we have to draw this again in a bit of an analytical, our love for God, God's love for us, it follows a very simple trajectory. You love this much, he loves you this much. You love him this much. You keep on increasing, and it keeps on increasing. There's no limit to it. And this gives up hope because we control our destiny with regards to how much love we expect from God. You want this much, you love this one, this much. We control it. So he's made it very simple. Yeah, Heartbreaker said, I need infinite love. So you need to love God infinitely. Okay. But the point here is that God has simplified this whole equation. He said, all right, I'm going to reciprocate it the same way, to the same sentiment. Daruk, by the way, Daruk, he was fanning Lord Krishna, right? He was fanning the Chamar Seva like we do, fanning Lord Krishna. And while doing that, when he was in Dwarka, Mathura, I believe, as a king, so he was fanning him, and in between, he sneezed. Now, sneeze is an involuntary reaction, as we'd have studied in biology, right? You don't control it. There's no reaction movement. Sneeze happens. So when the sneeze happened, there was a bit of an interruption in his seva. And Dharuk felt, what? Because of my personal thing, there was an interruption in the seva of my Ishtadev, of my master, and he felt very guilty and bad about it. Just because of that moment, there was a little bit of an interruption. That is the bhav sentiments devotees have for God. And he shed a tear. A tear came out of his eye. Boom. The same moment, Lord Krishna shed a tear as well. Okay, it's his law. He has to feel the same way for the devotee. So he shed a tear as well. So that is his law. So today we will take this opportunity because we had a Savan Shivaratri. To illustrate this point, I'm going to take up a Leela that you're going to enjoy. We will talk about this law as well. But this is a very important law, LOL, law of love of God, where it gives us hope. Now, God is known as Bhakta Vatsal, right? One of the biggest qualities of God is he's known as Bhakta Vatsal. Even bigger than that, Maharaj Ji said, is Bhakta Vashya. He becomes enslaved by the Bhakt. So, ye yatha mam prapadyante tas tathaiva bhajamyaham is actually a very important spiritual law that God obeys. That he's obliged to reciprocate. Now, we control it. The soul is controlling it. You become slave of God, he'll become your slave. Right? Simple law. Law of reciprocation, the Newton's third law. If you want to enslave God, you first show him that you have become his slave, and he'll become your slave as well. For you to become his slave, you have to be fully surrendered. For you to be fully surrendered, you need to be purified. For you to be purified, you have to first have had absorbed your mind in God. For you to have had absorbed your mind in God, you should be intellectually convinced. For you to be intellectually convinced, you should have sufficiently contemplated on the knowledge. For you to have contemplated on that knowledge, it should have been a bona fide knowledge. For you to know the bona fide knowledge, you should have a guru and you should read a scripture. And this is exactly what we are doing. So you see the link between all of these. So finally, God will reciprocate. But for us to reach to that stage, of course, a bit of work has to go in, right? We need to carry certain purity. And we need to be intellectually convinced, and we need to be practicing on a day-to-day basis. And God is more than willing to take, 10 steps for every step that you take. And whatever quantity of love we expect from God, we start loving him. We shed a tear, he'll shed tears too. You love him, he'll love you too. It's very simple. Easier said than done, but this is the law. And this is the law that gives hope to all the souls. That, you know what? We basically, hamari dal bhi gal sakti hai, basically. Something, we can make God do something. So it's a very simple law he's given. Right? So this is the key law. Now, because, okay, what did one magnet say to another magnet? Anybody? Who attended Bhakti Shatak sessions? Anybody who knows this answer? All right, let's take a couple of hands.
Radhe Radhe Samji.
Radhe Radhe. I'm irresistibly attracted to you.
Okay. Yes, Heartbreaker ji, you wanted to add something?
Yeah,
so it said to कि just जैसे मैं हूँ वैसा वो, जैसे वो मैग्नेट, एक मैग्नेट होता है किसी और के जैसे टच करता है तो वो खुद उसके जैसा बिहेव करने लगता है. मतलब जैसे हम अगर जैसे एक हमारे
But you
बॉडी
have to give a
शोल्डर.
very concise answer for that.
Yeah, so just like the
It's a 50-word answer limit, like that answer comes in your exam. So what does a magnet say to another magnet?
so,
Okay.
so just like
I'll not stretch it too far. So it's very simple. I just want to move on with the thing that I wanted to discuss. So it says basically, I'm irresistibly attracted towards you. Okay, irresistibly. And that is what we are going to pick up a Leela. See, when a soul is irresistibly attracted towards God, God has no choice but to. He has to reciprocate. He does the same. So when you start feeling that, that is what Maharajji's teaching is, right? When you start feeling that vacuum in your life, that every pore and fiber of your body is missing God, they say that even if there is one more second of delay in seeing you or in meeting you, then my life years will go away. That's when God manifests. Of course, it's a very advanced stage. But when you feel irresistibly attracted towards God, God has to reciprocate that. And because it is Savan Shivaratri, we are going to pick up a Leela to illustrate this point, as well as the shloka that we are doing, that God has to reciprocate. And we'll see that through a Leela. So what happens is, you see this Mount Kailash? I don't know who's been there. So from Mount Kailash, Seema has already started biting her nails. Okay. Mount Kailash comes Lord Shiv, Bhagwan Shankar. Okay, Bhagwan Shankar comes. And Bhagwan Shankar, when does he come? Okay, there's an occasion why he's coming. It is the second day. Shankarji comes in full form. Okay. Second day of Lala, that is Yashoda's Lala Krishna. He's just 2 days old. That is when Shankarji comes with snakes around the neck and scorpions on his ears. So when he came during Rama Avatar, he did something similar. He changed his bhesh. But here he said, okay, why to change bhesh? Let me just go the way I am. So he goes and he meets Yashoda Maiya. Okay, so in that stage, now 6th day Putana had come, by the way. So Lord Shiv came 4 days before Putana. Okay. In fact, it is said that Maharaji has written his commentary that, but anyway, I'll come to that later. So by the way, he came on the second day and in his full form. And then when Maiya, when he saw him, she freaked out. She said, Jairam Babaji, and why are you wearing such a dress? He said, is it something which is compulsory for God realization? She thought she's a sage. She didn't know who he truly is. So he said, this kind of a dress that you are wearing, is it compulsory for God realization? She asked him. So he said, of course not. And he thought in his heart that, she's such a simpleton lady. She doesn't even know that all you need is devotion for God, love in heart. And that's all you need. Nevertheless, she asked him, who are you? So he says, Maiya, first of all, I am the son of your son. Okay, he said, I'm the son of the son of the son. So Maiya was thinking he's just 2 days old, 48 hours old. So that means every 16 hour babies has happened. He's become a father and then grandfather as well. Right? Because he's just 2 days old. So she said this, that's just not possible. He said he's 2 days old. How can you possibly make this statement? But if you look at Shankar Bhagwanji, he was saying what he was speaking was truth. Why? Because if you look at Krishna, Golok Vrindavan Vihari, his planetary expansion is Mahavishnu. So, in a way, Mahavishnu is his son. Mahavishnu is the administrator of all the material universes. So it's like you have a CEO who just wants to do his job. He wants to play golf or cricket, whatever. And then he creates his planetary expansions, CEO, CFO. These days you have a chief happiness officer also. So similarly, he has created that. He is just happy in Golok Vrindavan doing Premdan, playing flute, nothing else. So he's created Mahavishnu, his planetary expansion, to govern the material universes. And through Mahavishnu's planetary expansion is Narayan, the one on a the Kshir Sagar, Narayan form, the forearm form of God. And through his forehead comes Lord Shiva, Shankar Bhagwan. So they are all the same entity. They have just created planetary expansions of each other. So Lord Shiva actually responded correctly. He said, I'm your son's son. And then she said, why are you dressed up like this? He said, it's only because of your son I'm like this, right? Because his task is to annihilate the universe. So he has to be in that form. And he said, how old are you? He said, my son is 2 days old, and you are saying you are the son of the son of the son. Then that means, how old are you? He said, I'm Sanatan. Of course, he is Jagadish himself. He is Sanatan. And that is also correct, right? He's eternal, like God, because he's God only. So he said, I'm Sanatan. So mother thought, he's got some hysteria going on right now. That is just not making sense. He said, anyways, I'm happy, very happy today because of my Lala. What should I give you? Shall I give you some grain or some cloth? And Lord Bhagwan Shankar says, what are you going to give me? Riddhi Siddhi, they are, my servants, and I can call Kuber on demand. Right? What are you going to offer me? Right? He's Jagadish himself, he's God himself. Riddhi Siddhi and all the Kuber, all the material opulences are at his foot, basically, at his feet. He says, what can you offer me? He said, I just need your Lala's darshan. That's all I care for. Okay, that is what I've come here for. Maya said, no, I am getting freaked out. If he sees you, he'll start crying. So I'm not going to let you meet him. So he pleaded, but she did not agree. Now think of Lord Shiv, Shankar Bhagwan. He is Jagadish himself. Right? And what is the position of Maya? She is Yashoda Maya. She's an ordinary soul like us. However, in the Leela Jagat, she is the mother of Krishna. So the soul takes a higher seat, even than the God, right? So Shankarji had to concede. He cannot fight with mother and say, you know what, I am God, I demand it, and so you have to make me meet him no matter what. He concedes. And of course, he's dejected and he goes back. But he does not go back to Kailash. He goes back to the bank of Yamuna and he starts crying. He's crying because he had come for the darshan. Now he's crying, and that is the ultimate weapon. Okay, God, if you want to use some weapon, that is why I say people who can cry, they're lucky. Okay, and some satsangis have tried putting mirchi in their eyes just to cry. But if you can cry naturally, it's a great weapon to have. Because Krishna, is a butter thief, his heart is also like a butter. Immediately it melts. Right? Plus, the shloka that we are doing, ye yathamam prapadyante tanstathaiva bhajamyaham. Now, if his devotee, right, they consider each other as an Ishtadev. In Ram Avatar also Shankar Bhagwan had come. In Krishna Avatar also he came. And Ram Bhagwan also worshipped Shankar Bhagwan before going on to the war. So they basically, in their Leela Jagat, they worship each other. Now, Shankar Bhagwan is crying on the banks of Yamuna. So what is God supposed to do? Well, Krishna, he cried as well. He started crying big time. And when he started crying, and then the Sakhis came and Yashoda Maiya said, Krishna Kana has started crying. What's going on? She said, those Babaji had come, he must have done some Jadoo Tona. So Yashoda Maiya, she put one and one together. She said, yes, you are right. You know what? I need to find that Baba and do something remedy around it. So she goes around finding him, finally finds him on the banks of Yamuna. He's sitting and crying there. And then she starts pleading, can you please come? And he said, I don't go to the houses of Grihasthas. Now he's showing some attitude to her, but then she pleads, and then finally he agrees to come. And when he came, when they both looked at each other, when their eyes met, Shankar Bhagwan's Krishna and Krishna Shankar Bhagwan, Kanha. He stops crying and Krishna started laughing, and the problem was solved. Okay, so he got the darshan, Krishna started smiling and laughing as well. And then later on, during Maharas, by playing flute, when he did, right, Shankar Bhagwanji also, Shambhu, he also came to participate in Maharas, and he was told, you are not allowed in this form. And then he became a Shivangi Gopi, and then he was stopped initially at the boundary of the Maharas itself. And then he came in female form, and then he took a bath in Mansarovar and he became a Shivangi Gopi. And then he came again, and Parvati was already there, and he looked at him. He said, he looks interesting in this dress. But anyway, then that's when he got his entry. But the Leela basically illustrates that God reciprocates. Okay, he has to reciprocate, and in whatever emotion, to whatever extent, and whatever moment you do that, God does reciprocate, and that is his irrefutable law. This is a spiritual law. We have spoken about some spiritual laws in the past as well, right? One of the spiritual law for us, from a God standpoint, of course, he has to reciprocate. From our standpoints, another irrefutable spiritual law is that we have to seek happiness. Nobody can say, I'll seek misery. Second irrefutable law is you have to serve. You have no choice but to serve. And we'll pick up that law to talk the second half of the shloka as we progress around that. Any questions so far on what we have discussed around the laws, the law that we introduced today of Ye Yatha Mam Prapadyante, irrefutable law, and God's love for us, and then how it gives hope to all the devotees on what we need to do, basically to draw God's love and grace. I'll take a quick pause to see if there are any questions on what we have spoken about today before we proceed further.
Vikas has raised.
Yes, Vikas.
Radhe Radhe.
You said to clear your mind, to purify your mind, you have to become the slave of the God. Okay, so
you have a choice. You have a choice.
So we have choice.
If you want,
so we have also our.
Hold on, let me just explain that. If you want to enjoy God's position as Bhakta Vashya, then you have to prove you are willing to become a slave, because then he becomes your slave. Not necessary though, but depending upon what kind of relationship you want to build with God, right? It's not that your incentive is to make him your slave. The point here is God himself becomes your slave, right? There are enough stories in Bhagavatam to tell that he actually enjoys the foot dust of his devotees. Okay, that much he glorifies his devotees. So people, and there is a reason for that. I'll tell you. Tomorrow's topic is, why is God called a supreme enjoyer? Don't want to miss out on that topic, because I'll explain you why God relishes even the foot dust of his devotees. There's a reason, technical reason for that, which we are going to talk about tomorrow. But yes, go ahead with your question, please.
No, so if we become the slave of the God, then we have also our self emotion, self-respect. Something we have, like we have also a soul in our body. Okay, so if we totally become the slave of the God, then it is it अपने आप को एक नुकसान पहुंचाना होता है, या एक अपने आप को अपना भी एक प्रतिष्ठा होती है, एक अपना भी एक वो होता है जिसके एक अपना भी एक वो रहना चाहिए, ताकि हाँ मतलब 60 to 70% हम अपना गॉड को स्लेव बने, 40 to 50% अपने आप में भी रहें, ताकि अपना रियलिटी से जीने का एक वो मिल सके.
Right. हम भी कुछ है, right? We are also
we have also some body
have some fun, right? In this world, I get that part. So God says you take your time around that. He's not a regular master. See, in the world, when you become somebody's slave, he may use you as a doormat. In spiritual world, the relationship reverses. Master wants to serve you. Okay, so it's not a relationship like we see in this material world, where if you become the slave, you will be taken for a ride, you will be exploited and stuff like that. Okay.
That's
let me help you. So that is the highest level of realization when you become that, because you are not doing anything great by becoming a slave of God. You are already a slave of God because you are his part, and as a part, you have to serve the whole, right? When you do that, right, like Tulsidas ji said, na main kari na kari sakun, sahib karta mor, na main kari na kari sakun, sahib karta mor, karat karavat aap hai, tulsi tulsi shore. So that moment, God takes complete control over you. Okay, you just become an instrument to him, and what he gives you in return, you can't even imagine. Right? And that's what scriptures tell us. So it's not like a material relationship that you would get concerned about. So let this concept grow on you as we speak about some more concepts in the coming sessions related to this topic. Maybe it will throw some more light on that. Okay.
Sir,
But
how much percent is good to become how much percent of sleep
100%. God says
is good?
100%. He's a perfectionist. He asks 100%. 99 will also not do. Okay.
It's better than.
All right, Vikas, we'll come back to you. Yes, let's move on to the questions.
There's a question in the chat. Can I quickly ask that first?
Sure.
Manisha ji is asking, isn't it like whether we love or not because of lack of knowledge or anything else, he must be loving us always?
Yeah, but God is Akaran Karun, right? So God is Akaran Karun, but then his generic grace and love is available to all of us regardless. Right? He's giving us opportunity as a human time and gain. He's giving us, fruit, vegetables, air, water, everything. He's arranging circumstances for us so that we continue to evolve spiritually. He's seated within us and basis of our life, giving us the basis of our life. So all that grace is available to all of us. But the special grace of God is available only, it's directly related to how much we surrender to him. And our surrender would directly be proportional to how much we love him with faith. They're all interrelated concepts actually. Actually, when you love somebody, you don't even have to surrender. You're automatically surrendered. Right? You would realize that. When you love your kids, you're automatically you are sharanagat to them in so many ways. So that special grace, if you want to derive from God, this is a very classic argument. The soul says, I'm in ignorance, like the argument that you're saying, Manisha ji, I'm in ignorance. I don't know, right? I don't know. And I've been in ignorance from so many lifetimes. And what kind of a father are you? You are not in ignorance. You are omniscient. You are all knowledgeable. You have the complete knowledge. And you are known as Akaran Karun. So even in material world, when a child is in a ditch, people would come and pick them up. They take mercy on him. And they take care of him. So they also show compassion. And your definition is Akaran Karun. You don't need even need a condition to be merciful and compassionate. So what kind of a father are you? Right? This is the case. Soul pleads in front of God. So God listens to it very carefully. He said, yes, you've got a point. So let me just ask you one question. He asked soul one question back. He said, you said all these things to me, right? And then you said, what kind of a spiritual father are you? Now, do you really consider or think me as your father? First answer that question. And that is a question we all need to ask. Do we really think and believe? If you believe, he will start doing that, right? We don't believe that. Hum jante hain, mante nahi. And that is the whole thing. And God's rule is, you take one step, I'll take 400 steps for you, right? He said that, it's like a child who has, picked up a fight with his father and went off the city. Finally, he came back and he put a tent right in front of his father's house, 300-400 steps away. And then he's not coming. So the neighbors tell him that, you are his father, that child doesn't know. Why don't you go and pick him up and ask him and call him back? He said, I'm willing to take 399 steps. Let him take the first step. Because if I take all the 400, what is the guarantee he wants to come? And that is our situation as well. We want world for our convenience through God, via God. God says, no, you want me and exclusively me, and then I will be yours. So that is a condition he's putting for his special grace. General grace is available to all of us, right? He's not killing us or reprimanding us. He's meeting us as a justice dispensing father. If we want him as a loving father, we have to love him. That is his rule. Right? Because saints will say, they will cry foul. They will say, you made us do uthak baitak, all these tapasyas, austerities and loving and purifying, and now you are distributing your love whimsically. What kind of a, they lose, basically God is a perfect justice dispensing father, then people will lose faith on his justice if he starts whimsically distributing it to everybody. So general grace is available to all, special grace is available to only those people who work on themselves and increase their surrender towards him. So that
And
is
this, yeah, there's this wonderful comment as well. Before surrender, law of karma works, and after surrender, law of grace comes into effect.
very true. We will talk about this concept. He meets us in form of a law of karma during our life, and then he meets us as death, right? Yamaraj, basically at that point. So that is a regular system that game we are playing with God. What game? A perfect justice dispensing system that we are part of. If you want to move towards a mercy-based system, there are only 3 kinds of relationships possible, right? Even in this world. One is exploitation, where you are just taking and you are not getting what is due to you, right? For example, somebody is taking work from you and not compensating you, giving you the salary. That is called exploitation, which is injustice based. Second is justice based. What shall you sow, so shall you reap. If you did work worth $100, you'll get $100. And third is mercy based, where you get something as a bonus, freebie, go ahead, which is kripa based. So right now, injustice is not possible in this world of God. Injustice is ruled out. We are playing that justice based game. And the third is kripa based, is what we need to move towards by doing devotion and purifying ourselves. So this is what spirituality is all about. Okay, let's take a couple of hands. I see any other.
Awesome. Prashanta ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Actually, that was my question as well, that he's like Akaran Kripa, right? He loves us unconditionally. So can we expect unconditional love from God, or should we expect conditional love from God as well?
No, his grace condition is conditional. That is why he is recited Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise, he will distribute it in free fund. No Vedas, no Bhagavad Gita, nothing is needed, right? Everybody's got realized, one shot, boom, done. So for that thing, you are on, he's put a condition of becoming better. He's saying you become better. That's all I need from you. And better means cleanse your vessel, and I will give you all that you have as your inheritance as my child. So only condition is put it, because if he gives us everything and we still have our impurities, then we will not utilize. It's like a material father also, right? If he gives everything to the child without having the eligibility, the child will become smoker, drug addict. He'll blow away everything, right? So he wants us to work on ourselves, and then he is more than willing to give us all that he has. He'll make us like him. So that condition he has put, become better. But but he's enabling and facilitating that process for us.
So if we are progressing in our path, let's say, if we are progressing in our path, we get the thing quite quickly, right? And if not, then, in this chakra of, Janma Mriti Jara Vyadhi, we go on non-stop. And finally, we, at least one point is there, we get to God realize, right? So will this happen anyway? Or should I put effort in this?
No, it will not happen. You see, that the philosophical question is a very philosophical question. Does God know when we will become God realized? If the answer is yes, that means we are sure we will one day. And if the answer is no, then what kind of a God it is if he doesn't know? Because God is all knowing, right? It's all knowing. Right. And what we'll say that it goes against the very definition of God. If God is all knowing, he should know when we will become God realized. But the fact of the matter is, he has left it to our free will. He has kind of an idea, right, based on our speed, our tendencies, but he doesn't know. We could become God realized, very next moment, or we could take another million lives. He has left it to our free will. So it's like a child. Your child or relative that, this guy will look at this, so he will do this. We know, right? When the kid will look at this toy or this candy, he's going to grab it. Similarly, God knows our tendencies, but because he has not programmed us, he's given us a free will. Even he doesn't know whether we are going to take one lifetime or multiple lifetimes. So
Exactly. This question, I have been contemplating on that, because if we are bound to God,
I've asked this question to Swamiji, and I'm giving you exactly the response he gave me.
Okay, thank you. Because I am confused. Okay.
I have also wondered about this question. Okay, but Even God doesn't know because he's left it to our free will. Right? And
Okay,
depending on
thank
the
you.
speed we take, it could be sooner or it could be later. Yeah. But yeah, it's a very philosophical question. Okay.
I'll just quickly read a comment from Smita ji. In becoming slave of God, we are not becoming slave of the world, but it is mastering the world. So God is performing through us in that case.
True, very true. See, it's not a regular slave-master relationship where you work for Amazon, Deloitte, KPMG, Charles Schwab, or any other company, right? Master wants to extract the maximum from their employees, no matter which job you are in. You might become an IS, okay? You have to become a sycophant for all the politicians and they'll squeeze you out. It is not that kind of a relationship. Okay, when you become enslaved to God, God is more than willing to serve you. We'll talk about this concept tomorrow. Don't miss out on that session where we talk about why is God called a supreme enjoyer and how that relationship is established. So it is not the regular things. You don't have, your self-esteem will be embellished. Okay, it's not like you become a doormat when you become a slave of God. The word slave itself gives us a negative connotation because we are thinking from a material perspective. Here you're talking about a coveted post, okay? It's like the Brahmanda Nayak, the Jagatpati is going to be treat you like an equal at that point. It's not a master slave where slave is lower, master is higher, master wants to extract maximum pleasure, time, money, nothing of that sort, okay? It's completely different. So master is willing to become your slave at that point, right? And slave and master are at the same pedestal and he gives you all that privilege. So it's a different, not in that sense, but that requires a lot of purity. And honestly, this is just about reaching your true potential. If I have to simplify this whole thing, the soul has an infinite potential, and the cap of that potential is actually reaching that stage where we are actually eternally serving God. Okay, that is the maximum potential a soul can have, not even moksha, because if you are not constitutionally aligned to your true position at that point. Okay, let's take a couple of more questions.
Radhe Radhe Falguni ji, please.
Radhe Radhe.
Yeah. Can you hear me, Radhe Radhe?
Yes.
So my question is that so many times we face so many problems in life, right? So when we face problems or we are in real difficulty, that time we say, okay, God has helped me, and He has helped me to overcome this problem, and we have complete faith and surrender that He will do it. But when we are doing something good, I mean, we are achieving something. At that time, we said, I did. So this kind of contradiction which is there, like how to resolve it, because it is always when something great happens, it is I did it. And when you're in difficulty, then say, nahi, Bhagwan ne kiya. So
I know. So yeah, like Kabir Jasi had said, right? Sukh mein sumiran sab kare, dukh mein kare na koe. Jo sukh mein sumiran kare, dukh kahe ko hoye. But this is a human tendency, right? Even in corporates, they say that when you do something good, look outside. It's a shared credit because of so many people it has happened. And when something bad happens, take accountability. I have done it. Our mind works just the opposite. Something good happens, I did it. I want to run to take credit for that. Something bad happens, blame it on somebody. If not somebody, God. So that needs to be corrected. Paradigm shift has to happen with the right knowledge, right? That is what basically it's like. Something good happens, we thank God. You have enabled it and have express gratitude or share the credit. Something bad happens, we take accountability that it's because of my imperfection it has happened. If we do that, we can progress much faster. So paradigm shift is needed in our perspective because of the right knowledge. Okay, that is essentially what Karam Yoga is, right? When you do that, you don't offer your bad deeds, you take accountability for that, and good thing happen through you, you thank God for that. So this is a very clear thing in our back of our mind we need to have if you want to progress spiritually. That is the right attitude a devotee has.
Such a wonderful mirror window concept.
Mirror window concept, yeah, we spoke about it, right? When do you look at mirror and when do you look at a window? So mirror means you look at yourself when you make a mistake, not when you do something great. Okay, wow, how great I am. Window, you look out the window, sharing credit, or you look at the ceiling, God. Okay, when something good happens, we need to, and currently the problem is reversed. We look at the mirror, wow, I did it, some great happens. And when something bad happens, we start blaming people around and even God. So that needs to be corrected, and that is essentially what sadhana. This is part of the sadhana. We need to train our mind in that manner. Blaming is the worst thing a humans can do. Right? No accountability, nothing. Shift the responsibility to somebody else and walk away with it. I think God says, okay, continue doing that. Anyways, yes, Tanmay, you had a question as well. Blaming is the thing that we need to really guard against, right? Because you don't have any accountability. You're simply shifting the focus from yourself to somebody else. And what happens in the process? You don't improve. You are incurring more bad sanskars. You are dirtying yourself. And God says, okay, you only have to climb over it. So that attitude mindset of finding blames and excusitis that God says, Swamiji says, we need to refrain from. It's not good mindset to have. Yes, Tanmay Golji.
There are also comments. Can I read one comment and then take up Tanmay-ji? Urvi says, a hand and stomach example. It is in giving that we receive. The hand survives because it is a slave of the body. If it says, let me leave this body, enough of service, the hand will not survive. The hand receives nourishment by serving the body.
Beautiful, very true. Swamiji gives this example. We are like the hand and God is like stomach. When we serve it, we automatically receive what we need in return. If hand says enough of serving, I am also something, like Vikas, you said, my self-esteem is 60%, 40%, 20%, then hand will not get what it actually needs. So it's in serving, you automatically receive is the universal principle or the spiritual principle. Stomach will provide for everything that you need. So that is how it goes.
Yes. Tanmay-ji, Radhe Radhe.
Okay, we have a few more minutes before we move to our devotional segment, and we have a birthday person as well, who's probably going to sing. Yes, Tanmay-ji.
Radhe Radhe Nitinji. Am I audible?
Yes.
So Nitinji, earlier I asked you this question, like in this reciprocation process, sometimes what I feel like that my body starts moving. It's like as if I'm receiving the grace. So in like if I have a question in mind, so you told me that you will be confirming with the Swamiji and you have gotten this opportunity already. So have you asked, like I'm experiencing it every day and I'm scared. Please.
I think are you showing up on SMX? You can ask this question in SMX directly to Swamiji, because I will not be able to articulate it exactly the way that you want. If something is happening to your body,
reciprocation instantaneously.
Okay. I think if you articulate it directly,
it's happening every day. That's why I'm getting patterns.
Okay. Are you enjoying it or it's freaking you out?
Yes, I'm enjoying it because I'm getting the questions answered.
Okay, that's good then. I think you may be reaching a stage, maybe Siddhi.
It's Pakka universal consciousness, God communicating through universal consciousness.
Okay, do you feel
so
that?
This is related to your reciprocation law.
That is good actually. So just pen it down what you're experiencing. And I would say during SMX, you articulate it very crisply. Swamiji should be able to tell you and explain you. If you ask it directly, it'll be better. So come to SMX, but articulate it so that you can explain it, 30 seconds, 40 seconds and
what happens, I'm able to bring this point in bits in front of you, but in SMX, I just get 30 seconds. So how do I articulate all those experiences? Like I just can say that like my body and hands are moving, head is moving.
You only have to explain that. Okay, I cannot explain it on your behalf. So you say I'm feeling certain vibrations, certain things that are happening. Okay. How do I perceive? How do I basically interpret it? That might be your simple question. I can help you articulate it. Okay, but let's wait until you can get it, because that's your best opportunity. If I ask on your behalf, it may not. He may have a follow-up question, right? So you articulate it very crisply, and I can help you articulate it. Thank you.
Okay. So.
All right. Yes.
One more comment before we take next question from Himanshu ji. Because of God's kripa only, we get this human birth. We are the ones who have desires and are still attached with Maya. Getting this body again and again, only this much is enough as grace by God. But this is just one of the graces. बच्चों को रोबोट नहीं बनाया है, फ्री विल दी है। अब हम जा नहीं रहे तो भगवान क्या करेंगे?
That is the correct thing. See, you can love someone when you have choice. When you don't have a choice, it is called scripted or programmatic, programmed or a robo, like Himanshu called out. So God has given us a choice, and it's only and He has left it to our free will. He's given us knowledge. He made us human, one grace. Then He makes us meet a guru, second grace. Then He gives us the result of our spiritual sadhana, the spark, the third grace, and then He has left it to our free will. How quickly we want to progress and whether we want to progress or not. If you want to enjoy the world, we have certain desires. He said, be my guest, continue in the law of karma, and keep playing in the mud for as long as you want until you are tired. I'm in no hurry basically, but I will not lose hope on you. He doesn't lose hope on us, right? That's why he keeps on making us humans again and again and again and again after, whatever the law of karma dictates. So that's how it goes. Okay.
Samji had raised
Last
hand.
question, and then we move to the devotional segment.
Samji, do you want, she has put her hand down, so I don't know.
Sam, you had a question?
Just a minute, let me unmute her. Do you want to ask something?
No, I mean, I don't have a question. I was surprised that comment, the law of karma acts before surrender. Soon after the karma, the law of grace comes into play. That's exactly the answer that I gave in Put It to Practice session a few weeks ago. So I was surprised seeing the same answer, like comment by someone. I just wanted to share that.
What a coincidence, I would say.
Coincidence, for me, it's looking different.
Is it a cause for concern?
What's that?
Is it a cause for concern, basically, if you got that
Yeah,
answer?
yeah, definitely.
Okay, maybe you can put it in feedback tracker why it would concern you if it helps others. All right.
Can I make an announcement, Nitinji?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So we have the life transformation program coming up in Dallas. It's a free program for 7 days, in which in the morning we have morning walk with Swamiji, where you can ask questions directly to Swamiji during the morning walk. In the evenings, we have yoga lecture followed by free dinner. So this entire program is free and it's really, really life transformational. And the topic this time is Golden Rules for Living Your Best Life, one of the latest books of Swamiji. So people in Dallas and around, do not miss out on attending this wonderful program. This starts on July 29th and goes on for the following week, basically. I have already shared the link earlier. I will reshare it. So please check that out. And second thing is the feedback tracker. So do fill that out. You can put your comments, questions over there. Nitinji, as he mentioned earlier also, he looks at it. And in fact, in the next class, he will try to address the questions for the benefit of everyone in the class itself. I guess that's it, Nitinji.
Yeah, thank you. Sandhya, I just wanted to add about LTP program. It is called Life Transformation Program. And trust me, I have done so many programs, even in corporates, that they offer, for your personal development, all the leadership programs that happen, or the soft skill programs that happen, transformation, programs that happen. But what Swamiji gives, I'm telling you, if a corporate were to offer you that course, even they will offer even a little bit of it for $10,000, $15,000, $5,000 per head. That much it costs. What Swamiji gives you, you can't even put a price to it. In one lecture, if you take down notes, you would realize what he gives you is worth probably more than $500,000. Okay, if you were to put a price tag to each nugget that he gives you, that much price in 7 days, you can't even imagine so much of wisdom that he gives. So if you are in around Dallas, do not miss out on that. Whether it's going to be online or not, I don't know at this point. If that's what your question is, maybe they will open it up. But if you are in around Dallas, if you can travel to Dallas, walk to Dallas, fly to Dallas, please come over. Okay, close by Dallas. Just wanted to let you know it's going to be an amazing program. Yes, Shyamji, you had a question?
Yes, Radhe Radhe Shyamji.
Rather than by just a thought, how does one move to Dallas forever? Is it some way out there? कोई जुगाड़ है आप लोगों किसी का? I do not know what. That's a thought. If possible, let me know.
I have 3 options, okay, for that. 3 options. Okay, one comes through Mexico border, 50-50. Some bullets go away, okay, tunnels. Okay, second is coming in a cargo, but then the cold problem might be there. Third is you invest in US, get a visa, you open a business here and then you move here. Okay, that is a legal way. Fourth is you come through a tourist visa and I should not be quoting it here. Okay, and you just
No,
अच्छा
I got
बाकी की quote कर सकते थे
best way out.
यार.
4
I'll
options.
try the fourth one out.
Mexico one is the most dangerous one, by the way. I will not try that.
ठीक है, राधे राधे.
A family camp में आइए, we can hash out the formalities around it. Why don't you come to family camp once? Next, you have to come. Okay, we have already pre-booked you in our team. Okay, so let's talk more.
Thank you so much, Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Radhe Radhe. Yes, are we moving into devotional segment then?
Some people are adding to your suggestions of how to come to Dallas. Nitinji, should I read them out?
101 ways of how to come to Dallas. He's going to publish a book for Shyamji now.
Yeah, Vikash is saying one is Pablo Escobar way.
Pablo Escobar, huh? That was a soccer, I don't know. Maybe some mafia guy you're talking about. I don't know.
And Aparna ji is saying, or become a student and enroll in some course.
Shyamji is too young to become a student now, okay? He will not meet the minimum age criteria for the students. Minimum, I didn't say maximum. No, you can enroll for PhD, Shyamji. There are a lot of subjects that could interest you, but let's talk about the options if you're really serious about it. Okay, so today, let's take a few hands. I know we need to wrap up early because it's a Monday morning. So who all are going to sing today? Kavita, happy birthday.
Birthday girl, you want to sing or recite a poem? Awesome.
So let's start with Kavita then.
Yeah.
And then
Happy birthday, Kavita.
I saw
Thank
Arya.
you.
Nivan is smiling with 2 teeth less. But yeah, go ahead, Kavita.
Okay, Radhe Radhe everyone. This Kavita is for Swami Ji, and I don't know who wrote this, but I found it on Google and I loved it. तो गुरु चरण में स्वर्ण बसे हैं, गुरु शरण है धाम हमारे, गुरु आशीष जाको मिल जाए, जन्म जन्म के भाग सुधारे, गुरु आदेश मस्तक घर रखो, गुरु सेवा में रैन दिन जागो, मुख से गुरु शिक्षा ज्ञान हो, गुरु की आज्ञा का पालन हो, मैं करूं चरण धूलि को धारण, चरणों का अमृत पान करूं, शीश झुका के सहज भाव से उनके चरणों को प्रणाम करूं.
Beautiful Kavita, very nice. Beautiful Kavita from Kavita. And many happy returns of the day once again. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you so much for a beautiful recitation and a beautiful poem. You may want to share it with Swamiji, okay? You know how to get it routed to him, right? You have connections now. Go ahead. Okay. Who else is going to recite today? I see 3 more hands.
I see 3 more
Let's start
hands.
with
Yeah.
Manish ji, then Vikas, and then Pallavi ji as well. Very nice.
Amazing. So Manish ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. I'm going to just do a few lines of the Krishna Govind. So, जब तक रेन पे एम का पर्दा, तब तक मैं देखा न दिखाई, जिसके मन से मैं नहीं खिली, उसने मेरी कृपा नहीं पाई, उसने मेरी कृपा नहीं पाई, मुझे समर्पण के भाव प्यारे, उसे मिलूं जो मन से पुकारे, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा, श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा. Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Very nice. Thank you so much, Manish ji. Radhe Radhe.
Okay. Next is Vikas. Radhe Radhe Vikas, go ahead.
Radhe
Sir,
Radhe.
today is Har Har Mahadev, sir, to all of you.
Har Har Mahadev.
So
Har Har.
today, on the occasion of Shivji, I am going to. Is it okay to read a Shiv Bhagwan?
Yeah, 2 minutes though.
Huh?
2 minutes. Okay, how long it will take? Go ahead.
So it's only 2 minutes.
Yeah, sure.
तू ही है शिव है, तू ही है शंकर, अजर अमर अविनाशी है, महाकाल ओजन विराजे विश्वनाथ को काशी है, तू ही संकट हरता है और तू ही मंगल करता है, तू ही रचना कर जहां का तू ही प्रलय का करता है, तू ही महेश्वर, तू ही पिनाकी, शशि शेखर तुम ही हो, तो वामदेव की रूपाछ हो, विष्णु वल्लभ तुम ही हो, है शंभु हो शिवा प्रिय तुम, अंबिका नाथ कहलाते हो, कामदेव के शत्रु हो तुम, कमारी कहलाते हो, तुम्ही कपाली को कृपा निधि, तुम्ही तो गंगाधर हो, बड़ी बड़ी हाँ जाट रखे जो, तुम्ही तो वो जटाधर हो, तुम्ही वो कैलाश के वासी हो, तुम्ही समप्रिय स्वमयी, तुम्ही सोम सूर्य नीलोचन हो, तुम्ही जगत के गुरु हो स्वामी, बुतपति भी तुम्ही हो, दक्ष के यज्ञ को नष्ट किया और दक्षाश्वर कहलाए, वृषा के जो दांत उखाड़े कृष दंती कहलाए. Thank you, sir.
Very nice, Vikash. Thank you so much for reciting it. And I like the smear that you have put on your forehead. Great.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Let's go to Pallavi ji now. Pallavi ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Pallavi ji.
Radhe Radhe. Good morning, good evening, everyone. Happy birthday to Kavita ji. I'm going to offer Shiv Bhajan today. Thank you, everyone. सर्वोपरि प्रेमी शिव शंकर, सर्वोत्तम प्रिय पार्वती, सर्वश्रेष्ठ पति परमेश्वर शिव, सदा सुहागन पार्वती, अद्भुत प्रेम की अद्भुत महिमा, शब्दों में ना वर्णित हो, तीनों लोक में चारों धाम में पूजित है शिव पार्वती, सर्वोपरि प्रेमी शिव शंकर, सर्वोत्तम प्रिय पार्वती, सर्वश्रेष्ठ पति परमेश्वर शिव, सदा सुहागन पार्वती. Om Namah
Beautiful, Pallavi ji. Very, very nice. Lovely bhajan. It's always a pleasure to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity. This is from DWFBG Mahadev series. I really used to like that series and loved all the songs from that series.
Very nice. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Pallavi ji. All right. Next is Arnima. Are you going to sing or who's going to sing today?
Arnima.
Go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Happy birthday, Kavita. I just want to share a couple of lines about Shri Ram. I really liked, so I thought to sharing. Okay. मुख पे हो राम नाम, राम सेवा हाथ में, मुख पे हो राम नाम, राम सेवा हाथ में, तू अकेला नहीं प्यारे, राम जी तेरे साथ में, सीताराम सीताराम, सीताराम कहिए, जाहि विधि राखे राम, ताहि विधि रहिए,
Sitaram, Sitaram. Radhe Radhe.
Oh, very nice. Whichever chakki ka atta you're having, please continue having it. Okay, bring it here as well for me. Very nice.
Okay, and maybe yes.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's India, Nitin.
I can see that. I can see the effect. Good. Very nice. Awesome.
People, Jahi will
Anybody
be back
else?
now.
Anybody else wants to sing, or we are good for today?
I thought someone else had raised hand. But yeah, I don't see anyone else right now.
All right. Great. So with that, we come to the end of another engaging session. Tomorrow we will talk about why is God called the supreme enjoyer, right? He's a supreme enjoyer. No matter what you do, he'll end up enjoying it. Okay, but we'll talk about that concept tomorrow. And thank you again, everybody, for the wonderful engagement and all the beautiful bhajans that all of you sang today. And happy birthday, Chiki, again. And I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Thank you. Radhe Radhe from my side. Good
Yes,
night.
thank you everybody for wonderful engagement. Look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.